What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports MLB Swing for the Fences show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm back with Big T, with AP. I don't think we've done an MLB show, all of us together. We'll kick it first to you, AP. How's it going over there? How's your Saturday? How's sweating the NBA?
Man, it's going good. Yeah, we got a good game going right now. Let's see. Yeah, Blazers up by 3. So it's going to be difficult to stay focused on MLB, but at least that game's going to be over here very shortly. But I like this slate tonight. Man, I love getting on to talk about MLB. It's from a fantasy standpoint, it's definitely one of my favorite sports to play just because it's high, it's a high variant sport. I love getting away from the chalk. And I love taking down MLB tournaments, man.
Yeah, and speaking of taking down MLB tournaments, we got Big T over there. Big T, how is it going over there? How are you liking this NBA and MLB action all day long?
I love it, man. We got Saturday. We got MMA, great MMA card tonight with Titletown doing the playbook and stuff over at the website. So got all that. We got basketball during the day. We got baseball tonight. I mean, it's what you love as a DFS gambler, all that. So, yeah, we're sweating some games. We're looking at the MMA. We're doing the baseball. We got it all going on. So we're in good shape here.
Yep, I'm excited. I'm also sweating this game out with you guys because I'm on the
Yeah, we got a barn burner with the spread going here with the last 6 seconds.
So what are you sweating here? Tell the people. I mean, what's the sweat you got?
Yeah, so I can say it now because the games are already going. But over on the bet side, we got the Grizzlies plus 6.5. We do got the Grizzlies money line too, which is going to lose, it looks like. But we got on the live line Blazers plus 2.5. So we got a little bit of a middle, as long as Memphis falls less than 6.5, obviously. And then we got one player prop still, Dylan Brooks over 25.5. So if he goes down and hits a bucket, we're going to get that shipper too. So we got a lot of sweats here in the last 6 seconds.
Don't shortchange yourself. How about Melo? He just hit 2 free throws too. That already cashed, but we're just pouring it on, it looks like.
That was a dub. There's no doubt. I mean, it's like Vegas Dave. It's just all winners on the bet side, Run Pure Bets.
Speaking of actually Vegas Dave, I saw Matty Ice said in chat, he called someone Vegas Dave because someone hit a 9-team parlay in our baseball chat. So that was pretty cool to see. I was looking through the
9-0 is nothing. Chat. Vegas Dave went like 42-0 last night, he said, in the parlay.
That is true. Yeah, he was 42-0 on his parlays I saw, which was insane. But what are you going to do?
Ja hits a 3.
We got a nice little slate, right? This slate today, it's a 7-gamer. We have some decent pitching. We got cores, and we have some decent hitting all around. So this is definitely a slate to dive in and discuss. I think there's a lot going on the slate. AP, we're going to start it off with pitchers at the top, and we're going to start it off with you. How are you approaching this top-end pitching? Patrick Corbin at the top, is he going to be a guy you're getting in a ton of your lineups?
I mean, yeah, Patrick Corbin, he's been, he's been phenomenal, has a great matchup. Yeah, I definitely have some interest. Again, though, not many of these pitchers seem to be going too deep into games. So I think you can get a little bit different. But I like Corbin. I think the matchup is phenomenal. Even though the Orioles, man, they've been hitting pretty good lately. So honestly, how I'm looking at it, I kind of want to try to find ways off of Corbin. He's a phenomenal play. I like the Baltimore bats has just been really good right now. You got, Hanser Alberto right there. Renato Nunez. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names if I keep going, but a lot of these guys that can definitely get there and hit them, but phenomenal play. The other guy up top, Walker Buehler, he hasn't looked too good this year, but he's a guy that can bounce back. I think in tournaments, you could get a ton of leverage by playing Buehler over Corbin for sure. It seems a little bit risky. Obviously Buehler doesn't have a strong matchup either, but it's Walker Buehler. He's not going to keep putting up these dud type games. We're going to see a big game from him at some point. So I'm kind of torn up top, to be honest. I like some of these guys in the mid range though.
All right, Big T, let's head on over to you. Talk to me about this top-end range. How are you approaching this in tournaments with Corbin at the top, Buehler? What are you doing with your lineups?
Yeah, so AP kind of this week talked about how Baltimore's they've been hitting the ball decent. So I've been a little higher on Baltimore since then. They keep scoring some runs. Corbin's definitely the best pitcher on the slate, but when we got this many big offenses on the slate, we got I think all the best offenses. Maybe there's one or two that aren't on the slate, but we got a lot of good spots. Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, Coors, San Diego's been really good. You got all the big offenses, so I don't really want to spend up on pitcher when I don't love the spot. I think Corbin's going to be pretty high owned for good reason. He's the best pitcher on the slate. However, I just don't – I don't love it. And I'm definitely not playing Buehler against a team that doesn't strike out much. There's a bunch of good guys in the mid-range that we're going to get to. And even in the cheap range, I like some guys. So for me, it's clear-cut tonight. I will be going cheaper, cheap to mid, and definitely fading the top range. Just too many bats for me on the slate.
All right. Listen, for me, I'm torn. I think Corbin, though, is probably the guy you're going to want to spend on, at least in cash games. But I get it, right? The Orioles are definitely – they have some power and pop in them. AP talked about it. They definitely can hit the bat a little bit. But, Corbin seems like a guy that I'm going to look to. Let's go to the mid-tier a bit and talk about it because I like a lot of mid-tier options. I think, James Paxton is a guy you have to consider. He has had his struggles here and there, but I think against the Red Sox, he can obviously be in play. Andrew Heaney is an arm that we like to normally target, but the matchup against the Dodgers is not the greatest. And then you got Christian Javier. He's a guy that I think is very interesting in this range, a guy that I'm liking a ton. We'll go to you first, AP. What are you doing with these mid-tier options?
Yeah, I always look at who's pitching at Coors. I mean, these Rockies, they have a couple good pitchers. German Marquez is definitely one of them. It seems like no one ever plays him, just especially when he's pitching at Coors. So, like at 8.3K, I don't know. He's definitely going to be a guy that I get overweight on. I love the matchup against the Rangers. I think he has a ton of upside here. I know we're probably going to see a lot of left-handed bats. So, I mean, it is somewhat risky, and obviously it's Coors. And so that's like, for me, that's just going to deplete ownership. And so he's going to be a guy that I think we can get a ton of leverage on. And then the guy we'll get leverage on is Christian Javier, who's honestly, he's a solid pitcher. I'm going to have exposure to him. I'm not going to full fade him or anything like that, but I'm going to definitely have some builds where I move off of him. Javier, I think that's how you pronounce it, has a really strong matchup against the Mariners. Those are two of the guys in this mid-tier range. I got a couple cheapies that I really like. But those two in this mid-range is kind of who I'm looking at.
All right. Big T, how about you with this mid-range arms? Like I said before, I think that there's some pretty good ones in this range. Break it down for me.
Yeah, so this Houston guy, I don't know how you pronounce. I thought it was like Javier or something, Javier, whatever his name is. The dude is definitely one of the better options. He's going to be chalky, but he's cheap, man. 7,400 on DK. He's cheap on FanDuel. I don't have the exact price up, but he's cheap on both. Well, actually, I do have it up. He is 7,800, it looks like, on FanDuel. So right in that mid-range on both. Definitely like it. He hasn't gone super deep into games, which worries me for a lot of pitchers, though, not just him. He hasn't gone deep. Against Seattle, you have to like the spot. So besides being super popular, everything kind of aligns for him. And then you look, Heaney, I think some people are going to play Heaney, and I just don't see it. Like I talked about it last night with the Dodgers. I like their righty unit that they throw out there. I'm sure they'll do it again tonight. It kind of looks like they have something different, but when you can put Chris Taylor, Kiki, Barnes, Pollock, Mookie obviously at the top, Turner at the top, you got a bunch of lefty mashers. The Dodgers just go off. I mean, they went off. Bellinger got it going last night. You want to talk about a guy that will be super low owned tonight when we get to the games? Cody Bellinger 2 nights ago hit a couple rockets. Last night hit a couple bombs. Lefty too last night. Literally no one's going to play Cody Bellinger tonight. It's lefty again against Heaney. He's super cheap too. He's 39 on FanDuel, which isn't that cheap, but 48, I guess. So he's not that cheap. I was looking at the wrong one, but no one's going to play this dude. He'll be less than 5% on a 7-game slate, lefty. And he just looked good. I've always liked my guys that get hot. And I know some people don't believe in hot streaks. I definitely believe in hot streaks. He was ripping the ball the last 2 nights, so I like that. And, yeah, so Haney's not in there. I mean, Paxton, I think some people will play him. He's always got strikeout upside. I don't hate it if you're playing multiple teams just because Boston has struggled. And he's always got K upside. When he gets his good stuff going, he can mow him down in a hurry, which we like in tournaments for sure. He's going to be owned. I'm not going to play either pitcher at Coors, even though I like Herman Marquez. He's a good pitcher. Texas offense isn't great. I just don't think he's better than the guys below him. So I think that covers that range. I mean, and I can just go on to the cheap range even if you want, because that's the range I think that's the best. Gausman is 6,200 on DK, and I think he's the best pitcher on the slate. I like the Giants. He's been pretty good. I don't like this Oakland offense near as much as other people do, especially in this park. This lineup, I don't respect at all. I mean, obviously I like Chapman, Olsen, and like Simeon. I mean, even Simeon's better against lefties, though. So I don't like this lineup very much at all. I think Gausman in a good park for pitching. 6,200 is borderline lock city for me. I just don't really see a reason not to play that. And then Eovaldi, I don't think is too bad, just for the same reason I like Paxton. I love the Yankees, too. It just shows in baseball that you can kind of go both directions with that price. I mean, Eovaldi's 6,500. He has the ability to throw 100 miles an hour, strike guys out at times. Sure, he has the ability to get blown up, too, which is why we're going to like the Yankees, too, when we get to stacks. And you can kind of go both directions. He's not my favorite, but in a tournament, he's going to be less than 10%, and he has the ability to strike out some guys. And then maybe my favorite pitcher of the night that no one's going to play whatsoever is Woj from Baltimore. He's going to be so low owned. Washington's lineup is not their normal lineup. I mean, yeah, the top guys are awesome. Turner, Eaton, Soto is unbelievable right now. As Drupal, I always like against righties, but after that, you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all guys that I don't like. I mean, Thames strikes out a bunch. These other dudes just suck. And like I said, Woj is 5,700 on DraftKings. He's got decent stuff, and he's going against an offense that I just don't respect, and I'm going to get him under 5% owned, which if you want to play something like that, you can play Coors even if you want. Go to the Rockies. You can go anywhere you want on offense just by playing Woj. You could play Woj and Gausman even and literally play whatever bats you want and not worry about it. So I love the cheap range. I'll be interested to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, Gausman wasn't too much on my radar. I think he's a solid, but I was looking to pay up more looking at the cash builds, right? So that's why. Let's go to you, AP. How are you approaching this?
Gausman wasn't on your radar for cash? I thought you would love him.
I mean, he's in play, but I guess I'm able to jam him in, I guess, with all of the I have enough value where I'm able to do it. I feel like I can get that through the hitters, and I didn't have to go that route. Like, I don't see guys that I want to spend up in certain positions where I feel like I can just punt it with the hitters, and I'm able to make Corbin work. I think that's the reason why I didn't go that route. At least that's what it felt like. Maybe like a lineup comes out and I see something else that pops up and I want to change it. That could obviously go that way. But right now, that's kind of where my current construction is. AP, how about you? What are you doing with these cheap pitchers?
Yeah, I agree with Big T. First off, I agree with everything he said about Gausman. I thought he was completely mispriced at 6.2K, just too cheap. And I do think he's going to be popular. I actually have a lot of interest in Nathan Eovaldi. I'm so bad with names. But he's been the best guy on the Red Sox of late. I think their last win, this team is just is struggling right now. He was on the mound though in their last win, and he's looked good. He's been able, to limit damage, and it's definitely risky going against this Yankees team. As Big T said, they got a ton of power, but they got some bats in there that can strike out too. I'm looking at about 5 in this lineup that have that strike out 50 or 25% plus of the time. So I think at 6.5K, he's kind of interesting if he can just get out of there without getting shelled. I'm not going to touch Paxton. I guess he's out of that outside of the cheapy range. But those were the two I was looking at. But now Big T's got me interested in Woj. I like that call. No one's going to play him. I think a lot of people are going to play the Nationals. But, we've seen he's not been bad. I'm pulling up his stuff right now. He hasn't gotten shelled. He's been able to get out of innings, and he's put up some respectable numbers. Like if you could get 15 from him at 5.7,
I would
you would be
run
locking
to the
him
ticket
in.
window.
Yeah, man. So I like that call. I think the cheap range is going to be really interesting tonight. I think that's the range I'm going to be hanging out in for sure in tournaments.
All right, yeah, you guys said it best for the cheap range. I don't think I have to discuss too much more. Like I said, if something popped up in the lineups, I'm sure Gauss would be someone I'd consider more, but I just haven't needed to. But other than that, Big T, summarize the pitching, and then let's move on to the hitters.
Yeah, just to talk a little more about like why I would like Woj. So obviously I respect, you have to get through those top guys. Soto is probably the best hitter in baseball. I know Trout's unbelievable too. They're right there with you. Soto is just amazing. But if he can get him out and keep Turner off the bases, you're looking, and again, it's a small sample just on the year, but you're looking at these guys, Eaton striking out 25%. Asdrubal 20, Thames 23. This Garcia, I don't even think he's had an at-bat, but he can't be good. 35 for Keyboom, 28 for Gomes, Robles 28. They're striking out a good number. I know it's a small sample, but I don't respect the bottom of this lineup at all. And what it lets you do is, I haven't been playing Coors this year. I just don't think anyone is going to play. I shouldn't say anyone because it's a 7-game slate and it's Coors, so people are going to play the Rockies. But if I can get a stack of Hampson, Story, Blackman, Arenado, their 4 best hitters, which they're super expensive, at 10% owned to 15% owned, I think that's massive upside. And I really don't think it's going to – and this is a good question for Mangone because he's always got a pulse on the cash stuff. Of like the optimal type plays. What are these 1 through 4 going to be on, Mangone?
It depends what site you're obviously talking about. I do think there's
DK. FanDuel, you can get everybody easier. DK.
Okay, so DK wise, I honestly think you're able to get these guys in, but the question is, if you look at the slate as a whole, like how do you want to handle some of these other guys you have? Like you have Manny Machado, who's 1,200 less, right? At third base. He's going to cut into some ownership there. That's an over 5 total. So
that's what I want. I want everybody playing Machado so I can swoop in on Arenado.
Yeah, you're going to have Tatis again. Tatis, he's $600 less, but still people will still they'll do the whole combo of if I'm playing Machado, then I want to get Tatis in. So It's not going to be your typical Coors night, right? I do think the Rocky side is the better side. The Ranger side, you'll see one-offs here and there, right? You'll see like Willie Calhoun will get his ownership because he's a little bit cheaper. People want to get a piece of the game, but you're right. It's going to be cut into more than it has been in the past. Like a guy like a Tommy Pham, he's going to get some ownership, and people are going to plug in those Padres and be like, man, I can just get those guys in instead. What else am I doing here? I think that's something that people are going to talk about. One last thing I'll mention, like Garrett Hampton, right? He's 5.1K. He's not going to get the ownership you think because there's that cheap guy for the Nationals who could get a little bit of ownership in cash games because he's a punt option. There's a guy like Jake Cronenworth. He's in the 7 hole in the Padres, right? We were talking, people are jamming in their Padres, 2.9K to get him in there. People are just going to do that because it's like, oh, that's a salary saver within my stack, and it's lefty-lefty, and they think they're sneaky. So you're right, Tony. I don't think these Rockies are going to get as owned as they typically do. So that kind of sums it up there.
There's just so many big bats on the slate, even if you don't want the Rockies guys. Like, I just want to go to these cheap guys. I don't need the pitchers up top. I think these cheap guys got just as much upside almost as the top range too. So I think it's a clear path for me. Cheap guys and then the big bats.
Yeah, and the best part about what I mentioned, we didn't even talk about the Astros there, who are a stack you have to like. So there's a lot to talk about. But let's go on to the first game. And the first game we have up here on this slate, we got the Red Sox, we got the Yankees, and we'll go to you first, AP. Talk to me about this game. You like the Valdi a little bit, so maybe you're not as high on the Yankees as someone like Big T might be.
Yeah, I like the Boston guys Boston's been a disaster, a complete disaster. But look, these guys are still good hitters. And, a guy like JD Martinez definitely has a stronger split against, a lefty. So, and I think JD Martinez is going to be like 2 to 4% owned. So you got a guy who's like one of the best hitters against lefties. Definitely has me interested. I honestly like the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Actually, 3 through 6, Boston. I think it's going to be a really interesting tournament stack. Verdugo, I think that's how you pronounce it. No one's going to play him lefty on lefty. His splits against lefties are actually phenomenal. And I just think no one's playing Boston. So, like, it is what it is. Like, this team, I think they've lost, 5 or 6, maybe 7 in a row. I don't think they're going to keep losing games like they are. Maybe they do. But, again, it's baseball. All it takes is 1 or 2 big hits and to get a team going and to get some momentum going. And I don't hate the idea. I think it's going to be a very low-owned stack that definitely has some upside.
All right, Big T, talk to me about this game. But before you do that, talk to the chat, right? We got 167 people watch. We got 40 likes. So what's going on there, Tony? We got to bump up those likes, right?
Yeah, I mean, we always say it's got to be at least halfway home. So if we got 170 right now, 167, 170, I mean, we got to be close to 100 on the like column. So if we want to give out some gear today, we still got a bunch of these shirts that AP's wearing. He's going to show you these nice shirts. And if we get to 100, I'll send somebody one. These things are solid. We got to get to 100, though, on a weekend. We can't be giving it out at less than 100.
All right. So
what does JT always say? He's got the best line. What does he say? It's he's disrespectful. What did he say?
Yeah, he said it's disrespectful to see only like 40 likes.
Oh, he uses some word, though. I wish I could remember because it makes me laugh every time.
Well, if you're in the chat,
something about hurting his feelings or something.
Yeah, if you're in the chat, post it in there, JT, if you're in there. But yeah, Tony, talk to me about this Yankees Red Sox game. What are you doing with this one?
JT is definitely not in there. He's on the workbench. It's his wife or birthday or something, he said. So yeah, which game are we going into? The Yankees?
Yankees Red Sox, yep.
Yeah, so the Yankees, I talk about it every single day in the baseball content. I think you should play the Yankees every day if you're playing. First of all, I don't think you should play just one team in baseball. It's just not a one-team sport for the most part. So if you're playing one team for $100, maybe you play 3 for 30 or something, just to be able to spread it out a little bit with the offense. And I think the Yankees are one of the teams that you just should play every day. I mean, even when they don't look like they're in a great spot, like today, it doesn't look great on paper. It's still a good spot. But they have the upside to just pound you. Gary the GOAT is back. He's hit a few bombs this week. Clint Frazier's got power at the bottom. All the guys, I mean, DJ LeMahieu gets 2 hits every single night, it feels like. Voigt's got power. There's just upside all up and down the lineup. It's not my favorite stack tonight, but if I'm playing 3 teams, you can bet I'm playing a Yankees stack like always. I don't mind AP's thoughts about Boston. It's just, man, the offense is loaded on this slate, and you can only play so many teams. So I think I cross them off, but I get it too. Like, I always like one low-owned stack, like play 2 bigger like offenses in one low-owned stack. That's just the way I like to do it. Boston could easily be the low-owned stack because they got power. I mean, JD, Xander have both had success off Paxton. You got guys at the bottom. Even Pilar's been good on the year. So I like it. I mean, if you want to go that direction, I never mind any stack in baseball. So Boston is definitely in a good spot.
All right, AP, let's go to the next game. We got Mania, we got Gausman, A's, Giants. How are you handling this one?
Yeah, I mean, I rarely target like games at the Giants stadium. I mean, usually they're playing later at night as well. Like, I don't know. I like Gausman. I don't. Like, there's a few bets, I think, on the A's. Like, here's the other thing that I always talk about. Like, I like stacking against, like, a very chalky pitcher. So, Gausman, I think he's going to be very chalky. So, I mean, on the A's side, Matt Olson, obviously, a guy that can get there. Matt Chapman. I don't mind some of these power bats against him. I honestly, like, as I say that, I'm kind of like Big T. Like, I don't want exposure to every single team. I'm going to have some contrarian stacks for sure. I think the A's will be fine, but I think I just rather will get some Gausman exposure and hopefully it doesn't kill me. Or hopefully the A's don't kill me. So I'm off the bats in this game pretty much.
All right, Big T. Anything in this game seems like a game that you'll be staying away from, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Another thing I say every day, but Wilmer last night, 4 hits against a lefty, literally went 4 for 5. I think it was 4 singles, but it's still 4 hits against a lefty. He comes back the next night against another lefty that has struggled mightily. You're going to get Wilmer Flores at under 5% owned against a lefty. It's how you get unique in baseball. He's in a really good spot. I don't like Manaea. Rough 2,600 on DraftKings in the 7-hole. I just keep saying stuff like this, but you can even play 5, 6, 7 and throw Hunter Pence in there, who I think he hit a bomb last night or the night before. Austin Slater's been just incredible this season. Yastrzemski's been incredible. The Giants, I think the Giants are better than people think they are, honestly. Like, they keep raking. They keep scoring runs, and people don't realize it. And Manaea has been terrible. So I like the Giants a little bit as my sneaky stack. I'm looking at the rest of the board, and I don't see any other sneaky teams that I like. I mean, the Giants are going to get no ownership, and Manaea just doesn't look right to me. So I think it's more of like a 3-man stack to go with your main stack. I don't think I would go like a full 5, but I think the Giants are one of the best stack number 2 or whatever you call it, your secondary stacks.
All right, secondary stack for the Giants for Big T. Let's go on to the next one, though. We got the Seattle Mariners. We got the Houston Astros. And this Astros team is a massive total, and they had a huge inning the other day. You know, that first inning, I think they put up 9 runs. It was insane.
And they only had like 1 out. Jordan hit a double play to finish the first inning. He was hitting, what, 5th? That was his second time up in the inning, and it took a double play to get out of the inning.
Yeah, it was insane. AP, will go to you. I think the Astros, they got to be on your list of a team that you're looking at on this slate tonight. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite stacks. My favorite stack. I had to go look at my cheat sheet. I think it's just a no-brainer spot. I like the bottom of the lineup, though. Like in situations like this where we might, where people just, if they look at the total, over 6 runs or barely over, they're looking at 1 through 5. I like the guy, I like Jordan. I like Yuli, Correa. Like, I like a lot of those guys. And I might stack this up like 4 through 7 if I'm going to stack it up.
Get Tucker in there, AP.
Yeah,
lefty, but that dude's not staying in long.
Yeah, but here, I know Big T's going to like this game. He'll talk it up a little bit more. But on the other side, like what I was talking about, stacking against this guy, Javier or Javier, whatever we want to call him, whatever his name is, however we pronounce it. I butcher names. It's ridiculous. But this guy, I mean, he's thrown, he threw, I think he got taken for 3 home runs last game. He throws a ton of fastballs right down the middle. And so I do like some one-offs or like a full power stack with some of these guys like Kyle Lewis, Kyle Seager, and then Daniel Vogelbach, who I think he's going to go deep tonight. He led the Mariners last year with 30 home runs. He only has 2 this year, so I think he's due for 1. But even Austin Nola, so if you want to get different, no one's going to own this team because everyone's going to own the pitcher on the other side. If you want to get different, I think some of these bats right in the middle could definitely get you there and make things interesting in tournaments.
All right, Big T, how about you? Astros, Jordan, what are we doing here with him?
Yeah, I liked on the shows with AP because he's got he uses all the same strategies I use. Where in baseball, it's more important to get different than anything else. And if this Houston pitcher is going to be chalky, no one's going to play Seattle naturally. And yeah, on the surface, it's not a good spot. And I'm probably not even going to play it tonight. But I still get behind it when someone says I could play Seattle for leverage. They still have over a 4-run total. It's not like they got some tiny little total. They have upside, and they're going to be unowned. You can't play everyone, so I'm not going to play them, but I like that point. And then, so Houston side, definitely going to be one of the chalkier offenses. I like his thoughts of going towards the bottom. Like always, it's okay. But for me, I'm going to be so different at pitcher, playing Woj, playing lower-owned guys like Wilmer and Ruff, that I'm just going to jam the good guys. I'm going to play Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Jordan, and then one other like Gurriel or Correa. I'm going to play the 5 biggest bats, and I'm going to get different at other spots. It's the strategies we talk about every day. If I was super chalky at pitcher, like if it was a Max Scherzer slate or some slate with big pitching, I'd much rather go to the bottom of the lineup and play some lower-owned guys there. Like Kyle Tucker is going to be literally 3% owned lefty in the best stack of the night, no one's going to play him. But I don't really need the low-owned spot, so I'd rather just play the big guys, if that makes any sense. I mean, this team is just loaded tonight. All these guys could go off. If you are playing a chalky team, go to the bottom, like AP said. If you're playing a little bit of a contrarian rest of your team, I think you can just jam these big dogs in. And really the only guy I don't like is Josh Reddick. I never play Josh Reddick in the 2-hole when he's underpriced. I mean, he's 3,300. I guarantee Mangone loves Josh Reddick in that 2-hole. Like, you have to love that price.
No, I mean, it depends what site you're looking at. Like, I mean, DK, I'm sure he's cheap too. FanDuel, I know he's 2.2. I wasn't looking at like 2.3.
I'm always talking DK, I should clarify, because FanDuel, you can literally always play whoever you want.
I didn't need Reddick though today. I mean, I guess you could go in, but I just didn't need him based on my build. I like kind of punted a couple spots. I thought that made a ton of sense. So, but if you need a cheap guy, right, and you want a cheap Astro, sure, I think he's perfectly fine. I did want to ask you a FanDuel question though, Big T. You talked about, going. You said you don't need to go to Tucker, right? That was the guy you said on DK. What about going to him on FanDuel, right? Is he going to be low in there in the Astros stack? Because they're easy to get the Astros over there. So, do you think that's a route to go on that site?
The way I'm building, I don't think you need to go there just because if you're chalky though, like I love it on FanDuel. Like if you're playing a super chalky team with 4 cores guys or whatever you got that's super chalky, a chalky pitcher with 4 cores, like I think it's great. Like as a difference maker, there's literally no way he can be over 5%. Like he'll probably be 2% or 3%. And he's got double dong upside to where if he hits 2 of them and he's 2% on the chalk stack of the night, you're going to be in position to win a tournament. Like most of my big hits in baseball haven't been from George Springer going off. It's been from the Kyle Tuckers hitting 2 bombs at 2% on the best stack of the night.
Yeah, it's from your boy Naquin yesterday. You know, he had a pretty good game.
You liked that, didn't you, Mr. Naquin?
Naquin had a nice little game. So, if anyone in the
Wilmer
chat
had 4 hits. I mean, when these leverage guys, that's why I played 3 teams. 3 teams were way up the cash line. It's because these lower-owned guys, you used the best example yesterday, man, going like, when we play Kyle Tucker and he hits this bomb, our little ticker goes flying up that chart. When George Springer hits that bomb tonight, it just gets a little movement up the grid.
Yeah, AP, do you ever watch that on the app when it shoots up and down? That's the one thing. Whenever you get like the 2% home run, we were talking about it yesterday, you got to love that AP, right? It just shoots up the board.
Oh, I love it. And on the flip side, I hate it when all the chalk's going off.
Yeah.
Usually not in line with all the chalk. I'll tell you that.
And some of in the NBA chat, like we did the showdown earlier, and I said to fade the big guys and Nurkic goes off. Like people love like trolling, like the strategies that I'm going to employ in baseball and showdowns, and basketball is different with full slates where it does get chalky. But showdowns in baseball, like you need to be different to be good in tournaments. Like I am not going to cash 30% of my slates probably, but I'm going to win first place more than most people will too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go on to the next game. Let's talk Nationals. Let's talk Orioles. And from the talks of it, I don't think you guys are too interested in this one. I'm not sure, though. AP, are the Orioles a nice little secondary stack for you or any Nationals?
Yeah, like I think the Nationals are going to be one of the chalkier teams on the slate, just looking at it. But like Big T made some good points. I mean, this is not their usual lineup, but still, I mean, like the Orioles and you get their bad bullpen, like a lot of these guys are definitely in play. The more I look at it, man, and I like to get different with MLB. And on those slates, when the chalk misses, I'm usually towards the top. And so no one's going to play the Orioles, I'll tell you that. But, man, they've been hitting the ball really well, and they've been hitting left-handed pitching really well. So, like, I think I'm going to have at least one low and stack with, like, Hanser, Alberto, and some of these guys. It's not. I mean, it's just going to be one build. But otherwise, Soto, I might have him as a one-off just to like, man, so he doesn't crush my lineup. But otherwise, I'm not going to be super heavy on this game.
All right, Big T, how about you? You sounded like that you didn't like you liked Wojciechowski a lot, so I don't think you're on the Nationals. But the Orioles, are they someone you can get behind here in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on them a little bit lately, but I don't think it's the right spot. I mean, we got a lot of offense on this slate. Corbin's the best pitcher on the slate. I just don't. There's really not a reason to do it. And if you're playing like earlier when I said I wasn't going to play Corbin, it's not that I still think he's the best pitcher on the slate. So if you could fit him, I would fit him. Like I'd play him over these other guys if it fits. Like if I have a bunch of cheap hitters that I like in my stack, I have no problem playing Corbin. I think he is the leading scorer of the night. I don't think he scores that much more than the other guys, but this lineup this isn't the normal Baltimore lineup either. They got a few guys in here that aren't normal from what they've had during this stretch, but like my man Austin Hayes or whatever that dude's name is not in the lineup, and their lineup looks pretty weak to me today. So I think I might have a little more interest in Corbin if I can get up to him. But either way, this is a pitching game for me. I'm not going to play sticks in here. The only guys that I would consider playing are Soto and Asdrubal, just because Soto's incredible. Asdrubal, I always play against righties, and he's been good lately. So those are the only two guys. And I do like Woj more, so I'm not in love with those two guys. But they're definitely on my board, those two.
All righty then. AP, how about you? What do you want to do with this game?
Are we on the Padres?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I got distracted by something else. No, we're on different game. My bad. I got the Padres. We got the Arizona Diamondbacks. I do want to mention actually a really good note from this game, guys. Real quick, this is a good one. So if you're playing this game, the roof will be open, but it will be open after the third inning. So the first
Why are they opening it anyways? It says it's 115 degrees there.
All right. So the reason why they're doing it, Big T, is because once it's past the third inning, it'll be, I think it's 8 o'clock right now, so it'll be 5 then. So by then it'll be like, I don't know, 6 or 7, and it's not a big deal then. It's a little cooler, I guess. That's the reasoning behind it. That's what they used to say for the fans.
70? Is that what you said?
No, I didn't say it gets down to 70. I said I guess it gets a little cooler. That's probably my guess.
I was like, it gets that much cooler at night?
I mean, Arizona does get a lot cooler, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems dumb. I would just, if you're going to keep it close, keep it close. Why are you opening it halfway through? And it's not like
115 feels like 85, the guy in the chat says. No, it doesn't.
I totally disagree because, I mean, I know Arizona is probably different than like Vegas, but when I was down in Vegas, man, I was dying. I was like, I could not handle that heat. But yeah, let's talk about this game, AP. Padres, Diamondbacks. Are you buying into the heat narrative, or are you taking some of the pitchers here?
I mean, you got to buy into the narrative, at least, in some way, shape, or form. I mean, at least we've got three innings that are going to be somewhat protected, but still, like, man, I mean, we see how these balls fly in this warm weather. It's just kind of ridiculous. And yeah, it looks like, I'm looking at projections right now, it looks like this game's going to be one of the chalkier spots on the slate. Obviously, the Padres 1 through 5 are going to get a lot of ownership. I mean, how can you argue against Fernando Tatis? I mean, the guy just absolutely crushes the ball. You got Manny in there, Eric Hosmer, Will Myers. All these guys are definitely in play. My style in baseball, I just like to get different. And, but I mean, this is definitely one of those spots that I don't hate at all. I just want to find a way to get different. And it's, I mean, you could go through it and you could look at, okay, when they're in their third inning, you could try to project where these guys might be, or you could go with some really interesting stacks. You could go like 5 through 8 or something like that, just to get different. But honestly, I mean, it's a good game to target. I don't hate it. I want to find a way to get different on the slate. And I think the Diamondback side is interesting. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how Big T's playing this one, because when it comes to really chalky spots, which usually Coors is the chalk, I'm always trying to find ways off of Coors in my tournaments.
I will say from a cash game perspective, I do think people are going to be taking shots on the Padres and even some shots on the Diamondbacks too. So I think it's going to gain some type of traction this one. Big T, 10 total here in this one. How are you approaching it?
Yeah, I'm fading this game. I don't like the lineups near as much as other people do. Like the Padres have been good on the year, but I've talked about a few teams today where I look at this lineup and I love Pham, Machado, Fernando Tatis, but 4 to 9, I don't like any of these guys. And I don't want to stack a chalky team that I don't like. I hate Hosmer. I hate Will Myers. I hate Profar. the other three dudes, like Grisham's only good against righties. He's terrible against lefties. I just don't get the love for San Diego at all outside of those three. And granted, those three could go off. Those three are really, really good plays. But earlier, Mangone talked about it, like Machado's third base, Tatis's shortstop. I would just rather play Arenado, Story, Blackman than Pham, Machado, Tatis. And I just would rather – and then Arizona, I like even less than I like San Diego. So – you look at this lineup, and I just don't see it. Yeah, I like a few of the pieces in each lineup, but I don't think it's near as good of a lineup as Houston. I don't think it's near as good as the Yankees or the Rockies. So, again, we talk about it every day. I'm not going to play every single team on the slate. I'm only going to play 3 or 4 teams usually, and I'm going to fade this game completely, like all directions, pitchers, hitters. I don't see anything I'll use in this game.
All right. Does that change your mind on anything, AP? I mean, like I said, cash games, I think you're picking your spots on it, but tournaments, it's tough.
I honestly think so. The more I look at it and the more I look at ownership projections, I think this game's going to be chalky. I think Coors is just always chalky. People love it. I mean, it's just, you get the bat on the ball and it just soars there. But, man, I honestly wonder if this Astros team might go a little underlooked. I might just really go not necessarily all in, but extremely overweight on that spot. I love Big T's call, fading this game. I was struggling, so I'm glad I heard him say that. I'm with him on that. So yeah, I'm probably going to fade it too, and I'm probably going to increase exposure to the Astros if anything.
I mean, they got Eric Hosmer over 20% owned on these sites. Wow,
yeah, I can't play him at.
I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I played 20% owned Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, I'm not in on Eric Hosmer today. I'll say that, but people are just trying to get the value, right? But I don't need it. I'm good. No Eric Hosmer for me either.
It's just because of the price with him, or what?
Yeah, it helps you punt, right? You get all the power bats. I mean, I get the reasoning, but not for me. I just found other spots where I'm
glad he's cheap. I wish he was that cheap every day if people were going to play him 20%.
Well, all right, BT, let's go to the next game. I want to hear your take on the Rockies because you're typically not a Coors guy, but you talked about maybe jamming these bats in. So 11.5 total here. Marquez versus our boy Kyle Gibson, who made that little video for the guy who won the live final. What do you want to do here with this one, Big T?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not usually did you say AP and I cut him off, or were you talking to me?
No, I said Big T.
Oh, I thought I cut it on. My fault. But yeah, the Rockies, I'm not usually in on Coors, but some slates dictated, and San Diego's getting a lot of traction. Colorado, I think, will be owned. I'm not saying they're going to be 5% owned or something, but if I can get the 3-man stack of Story, Blackman, Arenado at 15% owned on a 7-game slate against a dude like Kyle Gibson that I don't think is very good, I like it. And honestly, I'm going to be so different in other spots that I'm okay doing it. I usually don't. And I do pride myself on not completely going down one path every time though. So I am more on it. And Texas, I don't like Texas as much. I don't like the Rockies bottom of the lineup either. I should be clear. It's almost like the Astros where I said I'm going to be low owned in other spots. If I play the Rockies, it's only going to be 1 through 5. I'm not going to play Matt Kemp. I'm not going to play any of those guys below. So 1 through 5 for me with the Rockies. And then Texas, I don't really like Texas. You can play guys like Gallo and Calhoun, but I do have one guy, everyone that's listened to me for years will know, my man Dietrich against a righty in the 7-hole, 4,300. No one is going to play this guy. It's another example of a +1 that if I play Coors, I play some Houston guys, I have a bunch of chalky guys, I play just Derek Dietrich with that. I got another Coors bat that can hit bombs, and he's going to be so low owned. No one's going to play this guy. These are the perfect examples of +1s I like to play. Derek Dietrich, definitely on my list.
All righty. Then AP, Coors, I'm guessing you're not typically a Coors guy, but tell me on this slate, how are you handling this one?
Yeah, I mean, I like to try to fade it just to get different because it's usually so high owned. And we got two, competent pitchers out there that could limit damage. And so, like, one, if ownership projections were low on these guys, I'd probably fire them up. But it looks like it's trending upwards. And so, honestly, I mean, if anything, maybe the Texas lefties are interesting against Marquez. They have to be the lower owned side for sure. But again, like I might plant my flag and target this Astros game and just increase my ownership there and try to get the stack right. And one thing I'll do is take some one-offs. Like I like what Big T said with Dietrich. Take a one-off or get one from each side. Try to get that home run in your lineup. If you can peg it correctly, and then if the Astros go off, you're going to be sitting really well. But again, all these guys, like if you want to play Story, he's a good play, man. The guy just absolutely smashes it. Same with Blackman, Arenado, like solid plays. It's baseball. I like to get different, and I think there's good spots tonight to where we can get different. So I will be I'll be underweight on Coors tonight for sure.
All right, let's head to the last game. We got Dodgers, we got Angels. Big T, we got a lefty on the mound. You talked about liking those Dodgers righties. So what are you doing with these Dodgers here?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me as we've talked through the slate on the show. I always get a better feel as we go, just talking it through. And I started the show thinking I was going to be on the Dodgers for sure, and I still do like the Dodgers. But I also started the show not thinking I was going to have any Rockies exposure, and now I like the Rockies. So I'm going to play the Yankees, I'm going to play Houston, and I'm going to play the Rockies. I'm only playing 3 teams, so the Dodgers would be more of a filler, like 2 or 3 guys, which I think could actually fit just because the reason I like the Dodgers against lefties is I can play Chris Taylor and Kiki and Barnes down 7-8-9 or 6-7-8, wherever they line up tonight. Pollock, all guys like that, Mookie, Turner, all the righties against Haney, I think are in play. I definitely don't think it's going to be my main stack of the night, but once we see this lineup come out officially, I think it's a much better. I can even do a +1 in this game, like kind of how we talked about Dietrich. Like maybe I stack 5 Astros, the best 5 Astros. I play Dietrich, I play one Dodgers guy, and I play Wilmer. Like that's the type of team I like to build. Where if my stack goes off, I got 3 +1s with upside that I really like, and no one has that build. It's completely unique no matter what. Like no one can have that build. They just can't. It's too hard to have a build like that is unique. So I definitely not a full stack for me. Haney is decent enough, but I do like the righties in this lineup.
All right, let's go to UAP. Any interest in the Angels or the Dodgers here in this spot?
Yeah, I definitely like the Dodgers more than the Angels in this spot. You got to love Justin Turner right there. He obviously is very good against left-handed pitching. And I like the Cody Bellinger call that Big T had earlier. Now, I think he's going to be somewhat popular given his price and that he just went off. I mean, he's 4,800 despite the lefty-lefty matchup. Like, I can't see how he's low-owned. I think he's going to be more popular play. At least you'd have to think so. I definitely could be wrong. Again, another team that I like to pick a few one-offs. Like if I'm stacking this would be my secondary stack in a lineup with guys like Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, and then we got to see what the lineup looks like.
We just got the lineup, not to cut in, but it's basically a normal lineup with Muncy down in the 7, Kiki in the 8, Chris Taylor in the 6. It's basically a normal lineup, though, what you would expect.
Yeah, especially if like Andrew Haney was going to get some ownership. I don't think he's going to be too popular, but showing like between 16 to 20%, which, man, I never like to play pitchers against the Dodgers. They just have too many competent bats in there. And so, yeah, I definitely like the Dodgers side more. And what I would do is like a Cody Bellinger, just perfect example of like a nice one-off to pair with like an Astro stack. And I like the idea of just like double paying down with my pitchers. If I do that, I can fit any bat I want in tonight. Cody Bellinger, you could get, Yordong, you could get a bunch of these guys. And I think that's going to be the path that I go down for sure.
All right, then. Looking in the chat, we got 65 likes. Guys, you got to step it up. You need 35 likes in, not too much time to get that swag. So hurry up and get those likes in. Jam them in there. If we get to 100, we will give out swag. While we're doing that, while you guys are hitting all the likes, let's talk about our 3 favorite stacks. We'll go to you first, Big T. Give me 3 of your favorite stacks on this slate.
Yeah, so I talked a bunch about it, but I'd rank them number 1, Houston. Number 2, first of all, Houston – top of the lineup, maybe bottom if you're chalky, but number 2, the Rockies, just the top of the lineup. And then number 3, the Yankees, all the way up and down. And then just for a bonus, my sneakier one would be the Giants.
All right. AP, how about you? Give me your 3 favorite stacks.
Yeah, my top one, the Astros, as I said a couple times. My second favorite one is Boston. I like those right-handed guys and the lefty Verdugo. After that, I'm going with my power hitters from Seattle. Kyle Lewis. You could even throw Dylan Moore in there, but Kyle Seager, Austin Nola, Vogelbach. I think it could be sneaky. It's going to be low owned. I'll tell you that. It's going to be like 2 to 3%, if that.
All right, let's go to home run calls. Big T, give me 3 guys that are hitting one out tonight.
I'll pick one from each of the. Give me Gary the Goat. I think he's hit bombs. He's hit a couple bombs this week. I don't know if it was 2 of the last 3 games, whatever.
Last night was a bomb. I don't know if you saw that one, Big T. That one was a big one. So.
He's been heating up. He's been seeing the ball finally after a terrible start. So give me Gary the Goat. Got to take my boy Wilmer, always against a lefty. I love him tonight. Give me Yordong's going to hit another bomb after last night. And that's 3, so I'll go with those 3.
All right, AP, give me your 3 home run calls.
Yeah, I'm going with JD Martinez against the lefty. I'm going with Daniel Vogelbach. He's going to get number 3. And then the other guy I had already written down, Yordong. I think he's going to go back-to-back nights with home runs.
All right, Yordong it is. We got 76 likes, guys. You got to get 24 more here if you want to get it done. You got to do it right now real quick because we got one last thing we're going to do before we get on out of here. Eric Johnson asked, can you run through the starting pictures real quick again? Eric, you can go back if you want and rewatch it and re-listen to it, but I'll do you a favor. I'll have Big T give his quick pitcher summary, and then we'll get on out of here. Big T, summarize the pitching for you.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going cheaper. I think AP likes that too. I'm going to play the Houston guy, Javier, or however you pronounce it. Gausman, I think, is the best and safest. And then Woj is like my sneaky guy. All 3 cheap. All 3 I like a ton. I think it's more important to ask Mangone who he likes for pitcher, though, because me and AP kind of both like the cheap guys. I don't remember your take if you did. I might have been watching the basketball game at that point. So who do you like at pitcher?
Yeah, I would say I'm in the camp of I'd probably rather go Corbin with Javier and then or Paxton, right? You can go Paxton as well if you want. I don't hate if you want to go Corbin mixed with Gausman. Like, that's fine. It depends on your mix of bats, right? I'm comfortable with punting positions all the way down, and there's spots where I found that I was comfortable doing that, so I'm just doing that. So I talked about that a little bit in my cash game core of like one spot I'm definitely punting at. So that's one way I'm approaching it. If you're not comfortable with that approach, that's perfectly fine. Go with the Javier and Gausman route. I don't think that's a bad route to go, and you can load up on the bats. It's just a matter of the right mix that you get. But that'll about do it for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us.
We should say something real quick, too, because I just seen Roth send out a tweet about the weather.
What is it?
And he says starting pitcher in Baltimore seems to be a popular question. Most likely going to see rain trouble, leaning towards them playing the game through off and on showers. 2 of our favorite pitchers are in this game. So that is not what we want to see in the old baseball landscape as we're signing off here, because you said you like Corbin. I think Corbin's one of the best pitchers. I love Woj. I didn't even realize that there was an actual issue. I knew that there was a little rain, but I didn't think that it was questionable. Now I'm a little nervous. That makes me like the Houston guy and Gausman even more, because I don't want to sweat the rain all night with these. I like the other two guys enough. What do you guys usually do with rain like that?
AP, what do you normally do?
I mean, I side with the weather guys. You know, if it's pretty risky, especially if the play is already risky to begin with, like Woj is. I mean, now if you add weather in as another risk, I think you can move off of them. Now, I haven't looked at the weather or anything like that, so I don't fully have a call or anything like that. It really just depends. I mean, but yeah, if rain is coming in and it's going to be off and on, I mean, that's definitely going to upgrade your risk on the pitching side. I still like the O's bat. Actually, you could upgrade the O's bats, right? A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, geez, this is just frustrating because I was
last night was a good example of the opposite way, though. I was scared of the Reds game when we were on the show, and then like 10 minutes before the game, they said it was basically cleared. I hopped it all in on Sonny Gray just because I knew it was cleared, and he just dominated. So, got to pay attention. We'll be in the Discord. We'll definitely be updating as we get closer to lock because we got to keep an eye on this. It's obviously one of the most important decisions of the night. And yeah, I mean, and we'll update the playbook too. Uncle T did the playbook today. Good job on it. Check it out over on the website, but we'll try to keep that updated too as well.
Yeah, and I'm staring at radar. I mean, it could be pretty bad, but I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist, but I'll be looking at the radar.
You think it looks bad too?
I mean, it could be, but it could just be my computer being slow. I don't know. It's being a little weird. Now, I'll post in the Discord what I'm thinking of doing in cash games with my core. I'm sure BigT will do that, so will AP. But we got to go. We got to get out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Be sure to check out the Run Pure Bets, guys. Don't miss out on that. They are sweating the fights tonight. Go over to the Run Pure Bets channel, subscribe, go hang out with them, and they'll be giving out some free live bets all throughout the night. But we got to go. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, BigT, and